What is up, people? This is the Vinyl Casket, home to the lamest taste. You can check me out on Twitch and YouTube at the Vinyl Casket, all one word, where you can subscribe, like, and comment. Hit the bell for much, much more. We put out the lamest stuff from comic, music, anime, manga, trailer, movie, TV, everything, reactions, reviews. It's all there. Check the playlists. We are doing a very special video, something I've never done before, something I don't get to do often because of what it is. I guess I could do it often, but I don't. We are going to be recapping my weekend at a music festival. Boom. This is Adjacent Fest, the first ever Adjacent Fest, which just happened this past Memorial Day weekend in Atlantic City, New Jersey. May 27th and 28th. I have a couple things I'll leave that right there. Some things to talk about, my experience, my personal reaction. Obviously, this is the first time that this festival has been held. I don't know the crew and the team behind setting and managing and booking the show, what their experiences are in the past, what shows they've done in the past, and where they've come from. Clearly, booking it band-wise, they did a good job. The lineup was pretty solid. So I'm gonna walk my way through this in a very organized kind of fashion. I'm gonna first start off that me and my wife got tickets pre-sale when they first announced with our friends in September of 2022, when it was announced that Blink and Paramore were gonna be doing this, and they kind of announced some of the bands, and we said, yeah, we're gonna do this. First poster was out. Cool. Did it. Obviously there were some issues with later on with price changings and stuff. I'm not considering that an issue. I don't really know what went on with that. That's none of my business. Do I think the value for the 2-day pass was worth it? I think it could have been a little bit less, but it is what it is. Pre-sale is what it is. I think value is cool. We drove down from New York to New Jersey, solid drive, about 3 hours. I stopped at Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash, so that was cool. Really excited about that. But then we got down there. We got there on Friday, the 26th, when a specific album of a band that was playing came out. So, over here, Incendiary's new album, Change the Way You Think About Pain, was released on Friday, May 26th. They played on May 28th, that Sunday. This is my favorite band probably ever at this point. They are currently playing right now in 2 minutes. They play in New York City near Rockefeller at Rough Trade, which I did not get tickets. I could have gotten tickets to. I didn't go because I wanted to make videos for you guys. And I've been back for a couple days, and I'm a week behind on videos. So this came out, and they performed a couple songs off of it, and I was very excited. It was a cool weekend. That came out. Awesome, right? Drove down there. We were able to get a hotel right on the boardwalk. I think as a music venue location, as a music festival location, I think it was a good location. It was on the beach, off the boardwalk, and on the water, in the sand. It was cool. Layout was interesting. So first off, just getting into it, right? Our personal experience, tickets were okayly priced. Could have been better. Could have been cheaper. Booking the hotel we waited a little bit because our friends ended up not being able to come. I think they could have been cheaper, but it was more than a weekend, so I think it was pretty good for what we got. Everything was in walking distance. Location was perfect. There was a Tanger Outlets right there. We never had to drive. I parked in the parking structure connected to the casino/hotel, and I never moved. Never touched my car. Well, we went in and out of the car, but we never left the parking garage. That was perfect. Everything was in walking distance. Food, coffee, everything. We're a vegetarian, vegan, and there was plenty of options, plenty of stuff to eat, plenty of stuff at the venue, at the festival to eat. And I thought it was awesome. Getting into this, I think we're going to generally speak right now. I think that the atmosphere and the environment we're in right now with music festivals is supercharged. So coming out of the pandemic, I feel like everyone was the rebirth of 2000s pop punk and rock, and the supercharge of hardcore that was going into the pandemic. And then as the pandemic roared, hardcore got even bigger and bigger. So those couple of genres are supercharged. So we're back to being able to do stuff, and fans, new fans, old fans, everyone wants this music, wants this big experience in the void that's left by the absence of Warped Tour. Warped Tour doing their last full country tour in 2018. I believe they did one show or two shows in 2019, which obviously when you go from every year for 25 years doing 50 to 60 shows a summer in a row to doing one is a big difference. Then the pandemic happens and no one gets Warped Tour, right? Things like When We Were Young, and there's a couple other festivals, and then other festivals that have been going on for a while, like Riot Fest. I think Bamboozle or something came back. Stuff like that. Something. What's the Texas one? South by Southwest. And South by So What or something. So like these festivals lately have been like a big discussion thing, a big pull. People are loving festivals because everything is trying to replace that void of Warped Tour. And personally, when people get in the comments and complain about this, complain about that, being either they're new to festivals, they're comparing it to EDC or something like that, or they're comparing it to their experiences in Warped Tour, I want to say I don't think that's kind of fair, especially when this is the first year of a festival happening. I think you got to learn from the experiences. You got to watch how they rebound as things go on. And I don't think anything will ever compare to Warped Tour. Warped Tour was a finely tooled machine that had been going on for 20 plus years with 60 events a year in rapid succession. That crew was finally tooled. That organization and the process was a year-long process, every year building that tour and scheduling that tour, funding the tour with all sorts of stuff, moving parts we don't even know about. I went to, and I feel like talking about festivals, especially pop punk, hardcore, metalcore, genre-based festival as this was, I went to 6 or 7 Warped Tours in a row, towards the tail end of the run, and I personally think I have enough experience with that, and especially going to shows in general. I've been to a lot of shows. I think stadiums, small venue, bars, all sorts of stuff. I personally think like I got a good experience, right? I don't think anything will live to Warped Tour. I went to 6. They're all consistent, fast, no nicks. I never had even thought about how it was run. So that says one thing. But personally, I think this was organized pretty well. I think we'll start off right now. Lineup was awesome. The advertising leading into this event, I feel like it fell off a little bit after pre-release, but then picked up for the next like 5 months before it came out. That was cool. I think the social media was pretty solid, and I think we led into it pretty well. The layout of the venue, I thought could have used some work. I would have moved some things around. I don't like how they advertised the exits as exits, but they ended up just being emergency exits, so you couldn't actually leave through them at all until the venue was over. So there was no point of having all these exits. They used the exits to mark out so you could tell your friends, oh, I'm over by 3, I'm over by 6. That was cool. They had the 2 small stages next to each other, and they had the one on one end, like I want to say 400 meters from the entrance. So you walked all the way down to the boardwalk, you came over a giant ramp, and then you had to walk through like a security check, and then you had to go past bathrooms, past like, you know, box office and all sorts of stuff, lockers, and you're behind the first two stages. You walk past that, and then there's food, there's bars everywhere, there was food everywhere, bathrooms everywhere. There was like 3 or 4 different like bathroom zones, which was really interesting. 2 water stations, even though I didn't see the second one. I think it was behind the main stage. I never saw. Now realizing that there was a Just Fest only merch table behind there too that I didn't get to go to. Couldn't figure out how to get there. Clearly I wasn't paying attention. But bathrooms was solid lock. I thought that was good. Water station, there were issues the first day. And when I get to issues, there was only 2 things I had problems with. One, I think, was slightly fixed, but not in the right way. And the other one was just an issue that needs to get completely changed if it's going to be happen again. But layout, we're still talking about layout. 2 stages next to each other. They went off. One band went, then it ended. The next band next to it happened. I thought that was good, rapid succession. The lineup and the time slots of the first day, I feel like, at least for me, what me and my wife didn't really line up between the main stage all the way at the other end of the boardwalk. So you had to walk between, right? That was phased in between intervals between those 2 stages. So those stages were timed perfectly with each other, and the main stage was timed like at a weird interval with it. The second day, it was fluid. Like, I felt like all 3 stages were in like a really good rhythm. People complained about the sound on the main stage. By the way, I only saw 1 band or 2 bands that had an issue with their sound at the main stage. I didn't think anyone else had sound issues. I thought 1 band didn't sound good, but that was a personal opinion. And it was kind of disappointing. I'll get into that. But layout wise, I thought that was good with stages. I would have moved the 2 stages a little further up. The way I would have done it was I would have pulled, they had like tents selling like vendor items, like vendors selling clothing and hot sauce and records and all sorts of stuff. I would have moved that towards the front, so you would have walked in through the entrance, walked past the lockers, walked past the med tent, walked past bathrooms. Then you would have had this little area of like vendors and stuff. Then you would have gotten through your first bar, your first food area. Then it would have been a stage on one side, a stage on the other side, split, so you could, your crowd here, and then you turn around and you go to the other. And then the main stage is all at the end, and then, you know, different flow, but have it a little bit closer. I guess for sound they pulled it apart, but that's how I would have, because walking back and forth was kind of brutal the first day. We forgot to get a towel, bring a towel. We ended up getting a towel for the second day. That was an awesome idea. Being on the water was really cool. The VIP area we didn't get to go into because we didn't get VIP tickets, but it seemed like a really good staging area. They were really inclusive for ADA. That was really sick. I saw that. I paid attention to that. Anywhere you stood, where you, like, if you wanted to see a band, you could stand as far away, and the sound was, you could hear everything from really far away. You could see everything from really far away. There was really cool visibility. So layout in that aspect was good. They did have hard floor walkways, but kind of between the main stage and the small stages, but it was only towards one side. I think there needed to be more walkways. That's my personal opinion. I would have liked more walkways. That would have helped out a lot, at least from like the far end of both sides of the beach, close to the water and far from the water, so that you, whatever. And the first day there was a long line for the water. So we're moving past the layout. At that point, layout was good. Where everything was, kind of, I would have moved some things around, but it was good. It was fine. At the end of the second day, I was okay with it. Getting into some of the issues and things with like how things were run within that layout, right? First day, long lines for the main water station. No one knew there was a second one. They fixed it the second day, adding way more spouts. There was no line the second day. There was never lines for bathrooms. There were never lines for alcohol or drinks or anything. So I just started drinking Liquid Death, which I love anyway, instead of getting water. And that was fine. I never had to wait for that. People complained about some food, waiting for food, never waited for food. Once we found where everything was the first day, we kind of scavenged and everything. That always made us really tired. But once we figured out, the second day was super smooth. We knew where we wanted. We planned our bathroom breaks. You were able to leave the festival anytime before 6. So you were allowed re-entry before 6 o'clock. People complained about this. So Warped Tour, I'm pretty sure you could never leave. There was no re-entry. I don't remember there ever being re-entry at Warped Tour. So that, I didn't, when they said re-entry, I was like, oh, okay. We talked to her, like, oh, we can't leave, probably can't leave. They said no re-entry, but I never even thought about re-entry. Like, when it was brought up to me, I was like, oh yeah, that sucks, but like, that's something I'm used to. Like, you can't leave a show most of the time, like a concert or anything. You can't come back. But that was interesting, especially because people were complaining about bathrooms running out of toilet paper and stuff like that. You walk out, you scan your ticket to leave. You walked over the ramp or went over the sandhill, and there was a bathhouse right on the boardwalk, right there. No lines, tons and tons of stalls, fully stocked. There was no issue. Loved it. We figured out the day before, we walked over, we went on the Ferris wheel, we figured out where everything was. That was perfectly placed right there. I don't think many people knew about that. Getting on to the thing that I think, we'll start with this one. There was an issue with sunblock. They said that sunblock was a permitted item, allowed item. They did not specify what type. They never said anything about aerosol cans. And then when people were coming in, they started confiscating some people's, not everybody's. So comments started warning people. They were letting some people in, some people not. And then when we left and came back, they confiscated it, even though they let us in with it. And I was like, oh, that's annoying. Like, all these signs say it's a permitted item. Halfway through the day, it seemed like they went online and changed it to add that information, which good that they updated it. They were able to rebound as the day and the event was going on. Obviously the signs weren't updated, but I wish that they had just said that beforehand. No problem. I feel like everyone would have just gotten squeeze or roll on sunscreen instead. I don't think anyone would have had an issue with that. We weren't warned. There was a lot of rules and a lot of like restrictions and stuff that were handed out ahead of time that were easy to follow because it was laid out very specifically with lots of details, and people were answering our questions online. I saw that. No one asked about the sunblock because it said aloud. I don't think anyone even questioned it. So that's why a lot of people were upset, and I think that could have been handled better. I think that there was probably like insurance reasons why that wasn't allowed in. I know like places like Yankee Stadium are doing that now. So like that was probably against them, but the staff, some of the staff wasn't handling it correctly. Some were. Second day was super smooth. No one gave anyone issues. They were super polite. I loved it. Rebounded, right? The other issue that I don't think they could have fixed, they needed to completely change how they were doing it, was the merch tent. Everybody that was there, every band, all their merch was at one tent with like 6 or 8 people working that tent. Massive line. So if you wanted merch from 8 bands, you walked into that line and you ordered, and that person had to run in the back and go to 30 different bins, get you everything, and then come back. That takes that guy 20 minutes. So every single person is there 20 minutes. So 6 guys there, 20 minutes. So only for every 20 minutes, let's say 6 people are helped. That's not good. That line was outrageous. With the first 8, line was out of control. Halfway through, we saw them rebound. They brought out barricades. They tried to organize it. They got a little bit better with it. Second day, they completely changed the end and where the line was going to flow. But the line from start to finish, both days, that line was huge. We didn't really get to do merch. They also didn't have that great of designs, so I wasn't that mad, but it was just the fact that it wasn't even like, couldn't even consider to attempt it because it was just outrageous. Warped Tour always had, every single band had their individual tents. I know that might not have been able to fit there. I think that if they relayed out the place, they could have. Again, some of these bands were on stadium tours, so they might not have a merch guy. They might be relying on stadium merch people. So that was another issue maybe. But personally, in my opinion, I think it should have been staggered out. You know, each person deals with 6 bands. So if you want to get merch from Paramore, you got to get on a specific line for Paramore. And if you get on that line and none of the other bands on that line are bands you want merch for, you just get Paramore. So you get the one shirt. Then you hop onto another line. Yes, that's a little bit more lines you have to wait on, but it keeps those lines small so everyone can get what they want. So if I wanted a Blink shirt, I didn't have to wait on a line with 30 other people that didn't want a Blink shirt, or 50 other people, or 60 or 100 other people that didn't want the shirt or anything from the band I wanted. So I think that could have been fixed. They attempted to make it more under control, and I think they did, but it was kind of like an undefeatable problem. There was no way to fix it. So we talked about layout. We talked about some of the issues. I didn't have an issue with sound. I'm going to talk about my experience with the bands, what I saw. Right at this point, I feel like after this, I think organizational-wise and planning-wise, these people did a great job. I think the location was great. I think the layout was as good as it could have been for a first shot. I think the problems that happened, I think they rebounded from them pretty quickly, pretty well. Also, huge shout out to the first responders and EMTs and medical and police and everyone that was there doing emergency. Every time I saw something happen, they were very quick. They were very smooth. There was no issues. I didn't see anything that I would have considered super professional, and I want to shout them out. They did an amazing job when they had to. Being on the water was great weather. That was super cool. I think pricing wise, being on Memorial Day kind of boosted everything. So you paid a lot for a ticket, then a lot for a room. That sucked. But everything else, there was 2 tents with like misters. That was cool. There was plenty of tents with shade areas. I got records from the Smart Punk tent. I was able to pick up Every Time I Die record, New Junk Aesthetic, and Set Your Goals Mutiny, which are 2 of my favorite records of all time. So I was able to pick that up for pretty discounted rate, I would think. Both under $20. Hot sauce guys, we got hot sauce. I don't have them with me, but that was awesome. They had clothing people everywhere. They had all sorts of food venues, tons of options. And what I thought was cool compared to other festivals and other events I've gone to was every single food tent had a giant adjacent styled printed out sign over it detailing their menu, what was in each item, how much each item was, options for that item, and then symbols whether it was gluten-free, vegan, or vegetarian. There was a set icon on at the bottom of every single sign, and any item that met those requirements had the symbol next to it. And every item was detailed on what it was in it, everything. It was huge over every single tent with food. You could see it from far back. You were able to get pretty close, see it, read it, know what you wanted. That was super accommodating. I thought that was awesome. And lights and everything at night were great. I think there was no other issues besides I think they should have handled They should have avoided the issue with the sunblock. I think they should have redone the merch situation. They could have improved the layout a little bit, and I think there could have been more walkways. Now into the bands. Obviously, we saw Blink and Paramore. I saw Blink the week before also, along with Turnstile. That was the co-headliner. They were as incredible as always. Paramore was insane on the first night. First day, we saw going through this Jimmy Eat World, Pop, Beach Bunny, Jeff Rosenstock. Thursday, Linda's, Mannequin Pussy, a little bit of Meet Me at the Altar, Wheatus, I Am the Avalanche, a little bit of Drug Church, Gel, which is awesome, a little bit of Zulu. Yeah, so we saw that was a lot, right? They were all over the place. It wasn't as fluid as we would have liked, but the second day was super fluid with stage setup. Obviously we saw Blink, Turnstile, Coheed and Cambrian all on the main stage. We got to listen to a little bit of the Front Bottoms during, I think, Coheed. It was like the sound was so good, I think, volume wise, that you stood in the middle, you could hear both. We saw Knock Loose, we saw Motion City Soundtrack. We missed Midtown because we went a little bit later. We saw Water Parks. Didn't go to the starting line during our bathroom break. We saw LS Dune. We heard a little bit of Royal the Serpent. They performed Spit. That was sick. Didn't see Oxymorons. I saw them about a month ago. They're awesome. The Movie Life. Incendiary, which I talked about. A little bit of Folly. And where is it? What am I missing? A little bit of Candy. I think that's it. Yeah, we heard a lot of bands because we were able to listen to things in between our water breaks and this breaks. I just feel the second day just kind of felt fluid. I guess we had a little bit more of a footing, and it was an awesome experience the second day. Best bands, right, that I had fun seeing would have been Incendiary, Movie Life, Coheed. Motion City Soundtrack was awesome. Last time we were supposed to see them, we got there late and we missed them. It was like 2016. That was awesome to see them. Turnstile is always great. That's like the 6th time we've seen them. Blink, it's the 3rd time I've seen Blink. First time with Paramore. I think it's the 2nd or 3rd time with Jimmy Eat World. Pop was the first time. Pop was awesome. I Am the Avalanche was a disappointment. All right, so if you don't know, I Am the Avalanche is the same singer as the Movie Life. Movie Life had an amazing set. I feel like he didn't sing so well the first day with I Am the Avalanche. Two of my favorite bands. I didn't enjoy it. I don't think it had anything to do with sound. I think it was just a little weird. They played a new song that sounded really good, but some of the older stuff didn't sound that great, in my opinion. That's my personal opinion. But besides that, everybody else sounded really, really good. Shockers, people that really blew. Linda's were awesome. Beach Bunny is incredible. LS Dune, I finally got to see them. Obviously, they've only been around for like a year. They knocked my socks off. Thursday sounds just as good as they did when I saw them at a big venue. If you're not listening to Incendiary, check them out. They're incredible. Royal the Serpent sounded sick. She's so cool. And I think I went through a little bit of Candy was sick. Jeff Rosenstock is someone you guys need to check out if you didn't go to them or you haven't heard of them. But yeah, I think that was it. I really enjoyed this lineup. I think to have a second year of a Jason Fest is going to be very difficult. I could make a video where I re-get Photoshop and make my own little roster poster. I think the only options would be Green Day and My Camera Fall Out Boy. Could be the only ones that could replace Paramore and Blink, unless you do Paramore and Blink again, and then the rest of the lineup changes. There was certain things that I felt like, why weren't these bands there? Like, there was a lot of New York bands and a lot of New Jersey bands. A couple Pennsylvania stuff, but not enough. I feel like the Pennsylvania representation was very lacking, especially when they're so integral for the pop punk, hardcore, and metalcore scenes. Wonder Years. Obviously you have Slaughter Beach Dog, which comes out of modern baseball, but with the revival of Balance and Composure, no Tiger's Jaw, no Glitterer, which is what comes out of Title Fight, no Wonder Years, no any of those bands, right? No Motionless in White, stuff like that, right? Could have been there. But New Jersey bands that I feel like should have been on here that weren't, Saves the Day, Senses Fail, stuff like that, I feel like kind of like was a missed opportunity to be on this. Besides that, though, really solid roster, and I hope that those bands that I talked about get included if there's a second year. Yes. So yeah, I think there was only 2 or 3 small issues. I think they rebounded very well. I think they handled it for a first ever fest. Obviously, these guys are bookers and they have experience doing it, but this is the first time that this event with this kind of roster has been at this setup and venue. I think they did an excellent job. I think they were quick to respond. I think the crew that they hired to run the event, that worked there, did a good job as far as they could. Some people were worse than others. I think it was well planned out. And I feel like if you got a good hotel close, you had a very accessible, easy weekend. We did. And it was epic. I got a lot of cool stuff. Merch-wise was sucked. That was like the biggest thing. But I didn't need it. And I had a really good weekend. And I really enjoyed this festival. If I ranked it 1 to 5, I would give it a 4. I give it a solid 4. Definitely room of improvement. Definitely, there's no way you can ever replace Warped Tour. But I think that this was a solid festival that needs another year to get better and be a solid thing. I don't think we're ever going to replace Warped Tour, but having regional festivals at seasonal dates could be the solution. With that being said, guys, this is the Vinyl Casket, home to the lamest taste. You can check me out at the Vinyl Casket on Twitch and YouTube, all one word, where you can subscribe, like, and comment. Get in the comments. Let's talk. Let's discuss. Remember, home of the lamest taste, only if you do me a favor, and that favor is to stay lame.